Hey guys, Matt from Soundrolling.com. Just finished shooting for today. I wanted to kind of continue the conversation from what I had yesterday. I was kind of just highlighting areas of shadowing, and it's kind of not necessarily harder to get into the industry, but it's harder to get kind of on a kind of ladder up to kind of doing bigger and bigger stuff. And a lot of the kind of comments and kind of feedback that I got eventually led around to this idea of you had to kind of undercut people to get into the industry because they're kind of, I guess it's this idea of there aren't kind of enough jobs, right? Because if there aren't enough jobs, then people are going to start undercutting. It's a kind of supply and demand kind of game. So there's kind of, I wanted to just explore this in a number of areas. Firstly, I think a lot of the stuff we kind of talk about in the community aspect of things. Undercutting is just kind of a thing that is everyone agrees obviously shouldn't happen and all this kind of stuff, but that's pretty much where it goes to, and unless it turns into some sort of witch hunt. It's a very hard thing to kind of both kind of acknowledge and try and solve, because everyone's a community, but everyone's kind of in competition with each other as well. So yeah, just treat this video as a kind of, I guess, overview of my rough thoughts. There's so many variations, even if you're just in TV compared to in film, compared to in music playback, compared to in sound engineering, and everything else. So yeah, take everything I say with a kind of pinch of salt, I guess. But I would kind of treat it that if you've watched the video on shadowing, or you've have this general impression that, okay, I don't have enough experience, and so what I have to do is I have to charge less to get on projects, that's the wrong way to look at it, because what you have to do is you have to actually go on projects that, for, I guess, lack of a better term, have less value. So I kind of want to make this kind of distinction between kind of undercutting, because that would be for, say, a real job, as in a company, an actual big production company, or even a medium-sized independent film. There's obviously all manner of tiers in that kind of realm. So I would say that undercutting can only happen in kind of quote-unquote real jobs, as opposed to, say, quite a lot of student films, quite a lot of... It doesn't mean you can't get any money, but it means that it isn't going to be a kind of national rate, or a kind of a thing people are getting in day out that have been doing this for kind of 4 or 5 plus years. So I kind of want to make that distinction, because that's going to, I think, clarify... so I guess we kind of need to clarify boundaries, because there's a lot of, for instance, short film competitions. Everyone can kind of accept, like, a 48-hour film competition isn't necessarily going to pay. Some of them might pay, some of them might not. But generally the idea is that you're going in to do this, and everyone's kind of putting their creative ability together. And I think I've done 5 now, and they're really good fun. And I just turn up, I do my thing for 2 days, and then I know that the project's done, there's no other further commitments, that kind of stuff, and get good results. So that's a place where you can get experience, where you don't need to undercut anyone, because that's your only advantage. I guess the second thing is that if you are undercutting, or you feel like you have to charge less because you don't know enough, then you shouldn't be going for the job, because it's a mental state, surely. Because we all have the same hours in the day, and as a freelancer, you're pretty much certainly not working every single day all the time. Again, other commitments may come in, like you may have a family, that kind of thing, but broadly speaking, you're going to be having a fair bit of time off still, compared to any other 9-to-5er. Again, depending on what sector. There's lots of asterisks in this whole video, I guess. And so it's making sure that you know your equipment, it's making sure that you've tested stuff out, it's making sure you know what you're doing, you know how to record good sound. And if you don't know how to do that, and you feel the only way to show value is by undercutting, then actually you're just undercutting yourself. You have to work long. It's a false economy in terms of both getting good work and meeting expectations. It's the equivalent of you can make any company profitable if you just cut expenses. But yeah, firing everyone, yeah, good luck with whatever tomorrow brings. So that's kind of my second observation in terms of this undercutting thing. It's a false economy. It's only short term, because you can't go on like that. And if somehow you're going on like that, you're living a pretty shitty lifestyle, and eventually you're probably going to quit the industry or go into another form of it. And I guess the third thing is that we need, I guess, more clarity in terms of what people are charging, and this is also very hard. It's very well established in terms of commercials. In the UK, there's the thing called APA, and you can look it up. You can look up your local unions to see what to charge for different things, different kind of sectors of stuff. Short films are definitely like a Wild West in some respects, but again, depending on the type of film it is and who it's funded by. A short film funded by Harrods or like Disney is obviously going to have a lot more weight behind it than Bob from Edinburgh. So I think you don't have. So I want to kind of keep this video a bit short, but these are kind of just a few of my thoughts, just generally about why you don't have to, why kind of, even though you can't shadow and you can always still get experience, but without undercutting. And that's undercutting other people, because it's on projects that are only really worth a lot to the individuals that make them. They're not worth a lot to anyone else, if that kind of makes sense. They're not really, it's not really the movie industry, because they're not actually making money. I think that's the right way to phrase that. Again, I might get a lot of flack either way, but it's just to try and open up the conversation. And so, yeah, I guess I kind of end with, what are your thoughts in terms of that? There's quite a lot, but basically you don't have to undercut and you can get a lot of experience yourself, even with other mixers, if you boom for them on shorts for even just one day at a time. Maybe you're doing a couple of projects yourself and you're making a bit of money on the kit rental and things like that, and then you're booming for other mixers and you're getting experience that way. Maybe that's kind of the future of how we're going to incorporate shadowing, or especially a kind of form of training in a kind of hierarchy way that isn't based on kind of a lot of closed networks, kind of like the old school way. But yeah, love to know your thoughts. This video is going on for way longer than most of my others, so appreciate you sticking with me. And yeah, keep the conversation. Either just get directly in contact with me if you don't want to leave a public comment down below. Love to hear everyone's feedback, and I'm just going to keep filtering it back in to the conversation and see where we get to, because it's again one of these topics that everyone kind of roughly touches on, but everyone's in competition, but everyone's in agreement that it's bad, but they don't know how to solve it. And there's a million different ideas going on, but there never seems to be an active kind of way of dealing with it, or everyone's dealing with it in their own way. So let me surmise with just focus on yourself, focus on adding the most value possible, get as much leverage as possible to charge if you're going for what I would call a real job, in terms of a project worth more than just the people involved, and then charge based on either what other mixers are charging or what other people are charging for that type of project. And just get your value up as quickly as possible. So all the best, love you all, until tomorrow, I will see you later.